Zoom session on the fourth Friday of the month at 7 p.m. But this tonight is our annual year
In review.
huh?
Year in review.
Year in review, let's say, shall we say? So this is what we're going to be. Let's see here. Okay. Our acknowledgement will be acknowledged and worked by the Seneca Valley of CNPS lies in the homeland of the Maloni, the Amamatsun tribal band, and the Tami Nation. And the Ramatush Ohlone, who still live and thrive in this area today. We hope to learn from them and support their work to restore traditional practices and heal from historical trauma. This is our, unfortunately, Judy will not be here tonight, but everybody else will be presenting. Tonight's team, this is not right. I am the host, our co-host is not here. And the tech person is Vivian. Ignore this slide. CNPS is a nonprofit environmental organization founded in 1965. It has more than 10,000 members and 35 chapters spread all over California and Baja California. The Santa Clara Valley chapter covers Santa Clara and southern San Mateo counties. CNPS mission is to save California's native plants and habitats by bringing together science, education, conservation, and gardening to power the native plant movement. And we welcome your support of this movement to conserve California's native plant diversity, and membership benefits include these two wonderful journals and the newsletter, discounts of local histories, and more. And to join, visit right here. Okay, upcoming events. Of course, weekly, we have Saturdays at Lake Cunningham and Kirk Garden, Fridays at Edward Restoration. These are regular ongoing weekly events. And then there's a seedling cutting exchange tomorrow from 1 to 3. And I don't have the location.
No, Saturday, that's Saturday. These are all Saturday events.
Yeah, Saturday.
Except for Edgewood. Edgewood is Friday, but all the work days are mostly on Saturdays. Sorry to interrupt, Bill, but the seed and cutting exchange is on Saturday at the Peninsula Conservation Center.
Right, at the Conservation Center, yes. And then bird nests as botanical time capsules are taught by Justin Whitehall. That'll be Friday, 31st, 7 to 9 p.m. And I don't have there.
That's a Zoom. That one is.
That is a Zoom, okay. And also, I didn't mention Katali Park. It is on Saturdays also. And then our photography group will be on February 28th, Zoom session, 7 to 9.
Bill, can I mention one thing?
Yes.
It's kind of related to tonight. Next Tuesday evening at the Peninsula Conservation Center at 7 p.m. we have our native plant ID group.
Oh, okay.
And this month, we're gonna take a look at using various apps to identify plants in photos.
Okay. Thank you very much.
And one more is the bird nest is actually next Thursday, not Friday.
Oh, gosh. Okay, is that the 31st?
It's the 30th.
30th?
Yes.
Okay. No,
I'm running that Zoom, so I know that's
okay,
not
that'll
Friday.
be next Thursday, the 30th for the birthdays. Oh, no, okay. Nursery, there's an online plant sale. Let's ask Vivian.
It's just wrapped up, so I'm sorry that one is done.
Will there be another one or anything?
There will be another one, but the only one that I know for sure, so everybody's put the save your date because it's not an online plant sale. It's actually at our wildflower show last Saturday in April. That's April 26th.
Wildflower show.
And so that's the next place I'm absolutely sure we're going to be selling plants. There might be one sometime between now and then, but I don't have it scheduled yet. So.
Okay.
And where did you say it was? Sorry, that's at West Valley College. So the wildflower show is a really spectacular thing. We go out, we collect wildflowers all over the place. Then with permits, we always do things only legally. And then we bring them back to West Valley College, which is where the show is. And we label all of them. So you get to see all the beautiful flowers with their names. And then we're going to have some great speakers. Our keynote speaker this year is John Muir Laws. So it's going to be a great show. And I also, do you have a, one for the garden tour? Do you have a garden tour slide?
No, I don't.
All right, then our garden tour is also in April, and I believe it's the first weekend in April. I should know this, but I thought it was the 12th. Sorry, there you go. Then yes, thank you, Deb. So, the other thing is at the second weekend in April is our Growing Natives Garden Tour, and that's, I think we have 54 gardens this year. And so that's on Saturday and that's Sunday, one day, and I can't remember which one is which, but one day is the Northern Gardens and one day is the Southern Gardens. GNGT.org is where you register. It's free. If you register now, you'll get notifications to remind you, and then you'll get a map and you can plan out your days. So, thank you, Bill. Sorry to interrupt.
That's fine. Okay, stay in touch. Get on our mailing list and take a snapshot of that, and I'll show you how to get on the mailing list. And housekeeping, well, this is for the Zoom session, so we're done here. We can go to Ken on his Zoom session. It's the first
Okay,
one up.
let's stop your share, which I could, I might.
Can we-
Oh, stop it.
Are you having trouble? Let me get that one. All right.
Nope, not yet.
Okay, can you guys go share now?
Hold on for a sec.
There you go.
There you go.
Hold on for a sec.
And where are you guys right now?
We're up in Oregon. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Yeah, greetings from Ken and Dee in Southwest Oregon. And we'd like to share some of the botanical hotspots that occur within 30 miles of our home. Right now, we're looking across the Rogue River Valley.
Hold on, they're asking us where we are.
I said we're in Southern Oregon near Grants Pass. And
Can we
we're
start?
looking across the Rogue River Valley near Medford, Oregon, to the Southern Cascades with Mount McLaughlin, a volcano dominating the skyline. Whoops. Hold on. Oh. So amongst the earliest spring flowering plants in our area are the fawn lilies. The fawn lilies have, well, there's 5 species in this region, and 3 of them at the low elevations have mottled leaves. This is a portion of our 5 acres of property. It is wooded with California black oak, Oregon white oak, ponderosa pine, and Douglas fir dominating. We closed escrow at July 3rd, and at that time, we saw capsules, fruits of an unknown fawn lily. There's 3 possibilities. There's Erythronium citrinum, the lemon fawn lily. You'll notice the stigma is quite blunt with lobes less than 1 millimeter. The Oregon fawn lily has lobes, stigma lobes, 2 to 3 millimeters long. It is actually widespread throughout Oregon in shady woods. The last possibility is Henderson's fawn lily. Erythronium hendersonii commemorates the same Henderson as Primula hendersonii, the curator of the herbarium at the University of Oregon in Eugene. Let's go back one. So our first botanical hotspot is the 2 basalt lava caps north of Medford, Oregon, can be seen from I-5. Here we could see California sandwort looking to upper Table Rocks. Very thin soils occur on the lava tops. This onion's only about 1.5 inches tall. It's Allium parvum, called dwarf London onion, and it blooms in April. Areas of depressions with slightly greater soil depth have Collinsia grandiflora blooming late April into early May. Of course, you have to come out of the Rogue Valley, have an ascent of about 500 feet, but it's a gentle gradient. And the trail goes through Oregon oak, California black oak woodland, often with buckbrush, mountain mahogany, California yerba santa. It really is the California floristic province in Southern Oregon. Western buttercup is on the left side of the trail. Another Collinsia occurs in the woodland portion at Table Rocks. This is Collinsia linearis. It is glandular on the stems, the leaves, and the sepals, whereas grandiflora is glabrous or without hairs. Also in the woodland area on the ascent, you'll see colonies of the scarlet fritillaria recurva. Finally, towards the end of May, or actually the end of April into May, the vernal pools are starting to dry up. Sandward in the foreground. We've never really been there in late May to see the vernal pools, but on the margins in May 1st, we have a meadow foam, Lamanthes pumila, subspecies pumila. And the only place it occurs in the world is on the two tabletops of Upper and Lower Table Rocks. And great views. One of the interesting things, you can walk right to the rim and see turkey vultures flying below you. It's always real novel and surprising to me. Now we head 30 miles west of Grants Pass, Oregon, where we live, to the Illinois River watershed, looking at a tributary, Josephine Creek, that begins up in the rim country of the Kalmiopsis wilderness. This area receives 45 to 65 inches of rainfall, and we're seeing a Darlingtonia fen, also known as cobra plant or California pitcher plant. The highly modified leaves are actually from the previous year, but what is happening at this May date is they're flowering. You can see the prominent sepals and the reddish petals under. Well, what's photographing? There's not only large fens, but there's rivulets with pitcher plant, western azalea, and she's photographing the California lady slipper, Cypripedium californicum, which is occasional in the region. Now, this region has many endemics, as many as 65 in the Siskiyou region of Southwest Oregon. On drier slopes, we have Siskiyou mat, Ceanothus pumilis, which is literally hugging the ground and no higher than an inch high. Curtis tomii, the sears, is widespread in this region. It also occurs south all the way to the Santa Cruz Mountains, Mount Madonna being its southern terminus. To the north, it extends up to Washington. But an endemic of the Illinois Valley is Howell's mariposa, and it is only found in this valley, one of 3 endemic calicortis in Southwest Oregon. The Illinois River Trail leads to some exciting plants. The plant in the foreground on the right is just California yerba santa, but on the way, we walk 2 miles to see some special plants. The first is Sephora leachiana. Lila Leach, Oregon botanist in the 1930s, discovered this plant of the pea family. It looks like an astragalus, but Sephora is restricted to an area 20 miles long and 5 miles wide in the Illinois River Canyon. The nearest relative to this, Sephora, is a Sephora in New Mexico. Lila Leach also discovered Kalmiopsis leachiana in the 1930s. This is a member of the heather family, Ercaceae, and it's closely related to the rhododendrons and the genus Kalmia, which in the eastern US is known as mountain laurel, and in the Sierra Nevada is known as bog laurel. We were a little late to see it in full bloom. You could see many of the flowers are fading. This is the end of May. We should have showed up around May 1st for better flowering. Now, if we take the $8 mountain road to its end, its terminus, we reach the trail to Babyfoot Lake. Babyfoot Lake is a special botanical area to protect the Brewer weeping spruce, another endemic tree of the Klamath area. But right before you get to the lake, we have rocky outcrops where you see the Siskiyou Lewisia. And some of the variety in the color forms. It's really a special treat. The British rock gardeners love it for rock gardens. The last area I'd like to share you is the meadows around Bigelow Lake as part of Organ Caves National Monument. And we're looking across the ridges towards $8 Mountain. In the center, it's that sort of symmetrical peak. The meadows and the lake, you could visit from approximately June 1st all the way through August and find something in bloom. Here we have mountain hemlock, Suda sestugiana, and on these outcrops, just on the other side, are 3 varieties of sedum. This is the Cascade stone crop, Sedum divergens, pretty much reaching its southern limit in this region. It is found in California on nearby Condrey Mountain. The woodland phlox is sort of a plant of the ecotone between the shady forests and the meadows. This is Phlox adsurgens. It blooms in mid-July. Then the trailing raspberry was an interesting little plant. Rubus lasiococcus is only a couple inches tall, but forms large mats with flowers an inch in diameter. Up on the ridges is the Washington lily, often growing amongst manzanitas because the tasty buds are often eaten by deer. There is an additional, the Siskiyou lily, Lilium pardalinum variety Wiggins eye, that is also found in the upper meadows. I don't have a photograph of that one. But these meadows, this is a picture on August 3rd, Castanea miniata, the giant red paintbrush with Helenium bigelovii, Bigelow sneezeweed with a few corn lilies. So it continues well into the summer. And with that, in August, there's a special gentian that flowers here, only found in the Klamath Mountains. And the last plant I'm going to show you is Elama labibracteata. It's the California globe plant, and it's one of 3 globe plants that are found in Northern California and Southwest Oregon, often amongst woodland, but openings. And those flowers are a full 2 inches across. Baker's globe plant occurs in Shasta Valley nearby. This is at Organ Caves National Monument, and they're just spectacular. The last globe plant, the riparian globe plant, is, according to Jepson, is extirpated from California, but does occur north of British Columbia, Montana, and east of Colorado. So there's many other locations with great trails. This is the Rogue River Trail, but we're gonna pass on those. And if you come up to Oregon in late March, expecting fawn lilies, you better bundle up. So I want to thank my wife for helping with this presentation. And hello, everyone again. Thank you.
And can I just ask quick, so Ken, are you guys are hosting field trips up there later, right? So that we can actually see some of this?
Oh, yeah, you'll see a lot. What we're proposing, and of course, people could show up for as little or as long as they want. We have a nice meadow amongst black oaks in California, or Oregon white oaks for camping. We also have a gravel parking lot of about 10,000 square feet for RVs. And we do have one extra bedroom, but that would be a bidding war. And then we would use the house also for presentations to learn our flora. And we would go out on field trips every day. So we're proposing at the field trip planning meeting between May 4th and 9th, with the 3rd and 10th being travel days. So that would be a full week. And then a second field trip in early June between May 5th and May 9th. At least I think those are the dates, with Sunday and Saturday being the travel dates.
It'll be in the Blazing Star with the final dates.
Yeah, we'll get it, hold the place in the next issue of the Blazing Star. And so you just see some of the diversity from volcanics to serpentine. So we want to share it with the chapter.
Okay,
We're looking forward to it. Thanks.
Okay. Let's see.
Joan, you're up.
All right, let me help you get that.
Yeah, you can.
It comes and goes. Oh, yeah.
Well, there, so you've got your controls for there, this one and this one, or? Oh, I think they'll both work. Okay.
Okay, my name is Joan, and it's an honor to be here. This is mostly a presentation on the flora, but there is some fauna as well, just to break it up a little bit. Okay, so we will go ahead and start in. Can you guys hear me, by the way? Is it okay? Okay. Okay, we're gonna start in Southern California and we're gonna work our way north. This is a picture, it was taken near the San Bernardino Mountains. It's looking towards the San Gabriels. This is Mount Baldy, the very top one. And just this one right over here is Mount Baden Powell. Okay, so you guys know that area.
Did you want to go to the next one? I'm trying to adjust it because it's sharing for some reason.
Oh, okay, so this in Southern California, we're gonna go to eastern San Diego County, starting over here, and we will also visit the Antelope Valley. And lastly, we're gonna visit the San Bernardino Mountains and just kind of sample some plants over there. This over here is a chalk dudleya. It's actually a very common plant around the Campo area. I don't know if you're familiar with eastern San Diego County at all. I don't have any major landmarks, unfortunately, that I can point out, but it's sort of in the Campo area. This was taken at the end of April. Sadly, it's not in bloom yet because the blooms are actually really beautiful. This is concolorous Chinese houses. This is a little bit north of Campo. It's on a trail to a mountain called Corte Madera Mountain. And this was actually taken during a BioBlitz with the San Diego chapter of CNPS. This is fringed Lamianthus, and I found it in the northeastern part of San Diego County near a town called Warner Springs. It's on a famous trail if you're on the Pacific Crest Trail called the Eagle Rock Trail, because there's actually a rock there that looks like an eagle. And so you have many, many people that are traveling through that area. These are the stalks and flowers of velvety false lupin. So up here we have something called California Golden Banner. I don't know if you're familiar with that. You can see it on Mount Tam. This is a variety. This is like a CNPS 1B2, I believe. And it's found south of Julian, near Lake Cuyamaca. Does anybody know these areas at all, or is it something new to folks? You do, okay. And this is Pride of California. It is also found in the Campo area and in Baja, California. It is a CNPS 4.3. And it was one of my favorite plants actually in San Diego County, and also a favorite of this pale swallowtail. Colors are weird. Okay, well. All right, going over to the Antelope Valley. Too bad. Yeah. So yeah, sorry about this. That's the colors are kind of weird on this big screen, but this was the poppy super bloom in 2023, as seen from the mountains to the west. In 2024, we did not have this at all. It was kind of almost a rarity to see some poppies over in that area. But there were some interesting displays. This is of owl's clover and of goldfields. And it's very close to the Antelope Valley over here. We were just coming off the PCT and then down into the Mojave Desert. And these were gold fields. We had miles of gold fields in the northern Mojave Desert. And I should acknowledge Sue Kelso. Both of us, we were partners in crime on many of these trips. So we saw quite a number of gold fields. It's really beautiful. But I think our most exciting find in that area was this Mojave rattlesnake. It's affectionately called the Mojave Green in this particular area of the Mojave Desert. You can see kind of that green sheen. Yeah, and so this individual was actually very user-friendly. It gave us a very loud, buzzy rattle long before we came near it. Okay, over to the San Bernardino Mountains. This is called Lemons centrichopapus. I actually had never heard of this plant until I went to identify it. It is, we found it, it's on where the San Bernardino Mountains meet the Mojave Desert. south of Hesperia. This is kind of in the Mojave River and Deep Creek watersheds. Again, I don't know how familiar you are of this area. This is a CNPS 4.3. And Yerba Mansa, this was near the Deep Creek hot springs, again, along the PCT. Okay, going up a little bit, going higher in the mountain, this is in the Pebble Plains area. It's called transverse range Facilia. It is like, I think it's a CNPS 4.3 as well. It is endemic to Southern California mountains. I want to see what colors actually are coming. Okay, it is coming. On the side over here, I can't see the colors well, they look horrible. Alrighty, sorry about that. This is Baldwin Lake Linanthus. It is also found in the Pebble Plains area near Baldwin Lake, and it is endemic to that area. It is, CNPS 1B2. This is Big Bear Valley phlox. It is endemic to the Big Bear area of San Bernardino Mountains. There's actually two pictures here. One is a side view of that plant. What really differentiates this plant from some of other plants is that very long, narrow, tubular throat. And this was found in a neighborhood, right? So there's one more picture that I wanted to show in Southern California, and it's in Santa Barbara County. And it's this Vandenberg monkey flower. I joined a field trip with the San Luis Obispo chapter. We were at a preserve called Burton Mesa in Lompoc. And this is a fairly rare plant. It is a 1B1 rarity. This was one of the last ones blooming. This was like June 1st. So we were almost a little bit late when we were there. There's also a lot, if you have an opportunity to go to Burton Mesa, I would really recommend it. I think you have to go on a tour. There's also a lot of manzanitas, like San Mesa manzanita, which is a luteus, which is a very rare manzanita. It's also there. There's like Santa Barbara ceanothus, La Purissima manzanita. So I would highly recommend going to that area. Very foggy as well. All right, over into Northern California. This is endemic to the Castle Crags area. There's a state park and wilderness area that's a little bit south of Mount Shasta. And there are two endemics there. This Ibetia is one of them. There's also something called the Castle Crags harebell, which unfortunately was not blooming when I was there. I didn't even know where it was. It's probably higher up. This is in the Klamath Mountains. This is Scott Mountain Facilia. I believe it's CNPS 4.3. And I think it likes to, I initially thought that the picture was really blurry, but I think that this particular plant just kind of colors outside the lines a little bit. Yeah. This glacier lily, this was found about 10 miles on the PCT, 10 miles northwest of that Facilia. This is shorthorn steer's head. And that was in the same area as that lily. There are actually amazing plants in this particular place. It's south of it's called Carter Meadow Summit, and it's an area that had burned, I would say, maybe about 4 to 7 years ago, and just massive amounts of beautiful plants. We were planning on hiking with about 6 miles south. We only made it like 2.5 miles because there were so many plants. And for Ken, this one here, the shorthorn steer's head, is actually critically imperiled in Oregon. This is a Colombian windflower, and Sue and I, we found this over in the Russian wilderness area of the Klamath Mountains. The Russian wilderness is known for having 17 species of conifer trees, of which I think we were able to identify maybe 2 of them. But it was nice. Okay. And then I've got to do something with the California pitcher plants, right? You know, the obligatory pitcher plant. Well, I thought this is my take of it. So this is a very clever black petal tail dragonfly that is perched on top of a pitcher plant, just waiting for the insects to come to it. Okay, all right, over to the Carson Pass area off of Highway 88 now.
2 minutes.
Just, okay, yeah, I'm almost done. Okay. This is Macalumne Wilderness area. This was taken in early July, which I think was the peak of the blooms over there. Yeah, they were really beautiful. The lake, at the top, kind of the top of the screen there is Caples Lake.
Oh, yeah.
This is a rock garden actually that I was trying to photograph. There are a bunch of deer in the area, and this one was just, you know, decided to take the photo off. So, but yeah, this picture is about, I would say 5 to 10 miles south of Carson Pass on the PCT near Upper Blue Lake. This is Sierra Primrose. Okay, and this is the last place I'll take you to. This is Lassen Volcanic National Park. And you're probably wondering, why is she showing this picture of all of these burnt out trees? Well, 70% of the land area of Lassen National Park burned in the Dixie Fire, in the 2021 Dixie Fire. That's 70%. Okay, so that's pretty significant. And think about 30 or 40% of that was a really very highly severe burn, which is mostly in the eastern side of the park by Dragstadt. But this is what you see. This is a lot of what you see there. You also see these beautiful flowers. Jepson's monkey flower. And Lassen paintbrush, which I think is like a 1B3. And the last photo that I'm going to show you is of this great horned owl. This one is, I think, a little bit blurry, but for the past 6 years, I've been doing a Christmas bird count over in the Niles area of Fremont. And we always get excited when we find owls. We found 3 great horned owls in 1 tree, so we were very pleased. And thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Judy's not here, so Charley? You're up.
Hi, I'm Charley Powell. I wanted to show some videos, and the only way I could figure out to do it was to make a video of the entire program. And so 10 seconds per slide. I'll take questions at the end. We went to Antarctica. We left on one of those boats that flew by, and we sailed. And there's ocean and birds. On day 6, we saw land. We were supposed to go to the Falklands. It was too rough. We didn't land. There's a penguin. It's a gentoo. And we went to South Georgia Island to see penguins. Chinstrap penguin, you can see the black chinstrap. And this is part of South Georgia. I took a panorama and then converted the panorama into a short video because it's just spectacular mountains, really beautiful. It's a austere beauty. And this is the end of January. So this is the peak of their summer. Notice the tall peaks. But the reason we went there was to see penguins. So this is called Salisbury Plain, 60,000 king penguins. And this is just part of it. And here we get closer, you can see individual penguins here, and then you see a whole bunch of black and white. Those are all penguins. It's a giant petrel, 6-foot wingspan. Icebergs. I like the contrast of the blue, the white, the black, and the white. It's another giant petrel. It's taking off. They're really heavy birds, so it takes a while to build up speed to take off. Elephant seal, just like we have here. King penguins have a beautiful color. And there's a bunch of them fighting to stand on this rock that's being washed by waves. There's a video. Penguins flock together. For reasons of safety, just like they do here. These brown penguins are the babies. And so they molt. This is a fjord in South Georgia Island. In the back is a tidewater glacier. That's a glacier that comes down to the sea and then calves. Then we sailed to Antarctica. We were on the deck 4, and you could see that the waves were crashing onto everything. We went by A23A iceberg. It's an iceberg that calved, and it's the size of Rhode Island. Going on Zodiac boats. There's float ice with a couple birds on top. It's an Arctic tern. This is the baby, that's the parent. And the baby continues to squawk for food. And it looks like the baby's about as big as the parent. The Arctic tern flies between the Antarctic and the Arctic and back to follow the summer. This is a crab eater seal. He actually is pretty harmless. This happy guy, however, is a leopard seal. They're the ones that eat penguins. Diving into the water. This is a place in Antarctica. It's a hill here. The little things sticking up are penguins standing on the rock. And of course, they have to come down. You can see the trails. A couple penguins walking down. So you can see that there's snow coming down, there's ice, and they've got a trail. That's not me, that was just somebody else standing there. She must have been even also. So these penguins are coming down the hill to the water because they eat fish and krill. And so they flock up, go out into the water because there's leopard seals out there. And then a bunch of them come back. So it's just like the birds here, they flock together for safety because a seal can't eat everybody.
Is he only the one that caught something? All the others didn't catch anything?
Don't know.
How close are you when you, oh,
Fairly close. We were supposed to say 10, 20 feet away. But I had a zoom lens. That's
oh
it.
my gosh.
And so these penguins are grouping before they go out into the ocean. And then for the babies, the adults will go out and eat something, and then they regurgitate it back to the young. And they have really short legs, but despite the short legs, they can hop. I forgot to take a picture, neglected to take a video of these guys as they were all screaming. And this one was scratching his head. This one just came out of the water. So they can walk on rocks, hop, slide, things like that. You heard some of them calling. Last stop before we left is this place called Half Moon Island. It looks, the coast looks like a half moon. And there is an emperor penguin. Now, this is in the Shetland Islands, that's north of the main body of Antarctica. These guys aren't supposed to be there, but this was. Now we're back in our yard here. That's the end of Antarctica. These are in chronological order. A half mile from here, there's a redwood tree and there are some owls. There's a nest that baby owl was in. The babies have down. And this is about 60 feet up. And that's another baby. Altogether, there were about 4. This is in my backyard, Carpinteria. House bench on
Red button.
thank you.
The caption says redwood.
Somebody reads. I wasn't sure if you guys could see the toward the end of the year, we went to Quebec for fall colors. This is a waterfall with a rainbow. It's higher than Niagara Falls. This is one of the redwood trees, maple tree probably. And this is a ski resort that we went to. And I like there's a boat that cut across. It's a Catalina fuchsia. And that's it. Oh, I'm sorry, one more.
Oh, yeah.
This is Joan with the cedar wax wing, rating all the berries at the end of the year. And that's it. Thank you. Do this.
Karen, you're up next.
All right, so let's see. Don't just use the air hours.
We have fun taking pictures.
That's it. Just want to make sure that it stays in the right mode on this side. You can start talking.
Okay. So these are all taken on a phone, so hopefully they'll look okay on a big screen. This event's really special to me because 1 year ago, this was my very first event with the Native Plant Society, and I knew nothing about California plants. There's a trivia question back there where the answers are Toyan, coyote brush, and ceanothus. I couldn't tell you the difference. So a friend of mine started taking me hiking last January and teaching me about the plants. And one of the plants I fell in love with was the California Buckeye. So this is actually a picture I took because I was taking a photography class and needed to find a plant that looked good in side lighting at midday. And I just fell in love with these leaves, the texture, that compound grouping of the 5 leaflets. So this is taken in February. There we go. But this was one of the first hikes we did where he picked up the seed and said, now I can't tell you what tree this is from because I'm not a tree person. I don't recognize the buckeyes without the leaves, but this is the buckeye seed. And he was explaining them to me. And when it starts to rain, then they start sprouting. So those are from January. This is February from the same hike that the title slide was from. And so the one on the left is a brand new buckeye tree. And the other 2 are from trees that are already existing, but are starting to leaf out. And this is when I really fell in love with the buckeye because I didn't know that this was the same plant as my first set of leaves, but I saw those and I was just drawn to them everywhere I saw them. And then I looked them up and it's like, oh, this is the same cool plant that was. And so at that point, I decided this year, I'm going to find the buckeye every single season and see what it looks like. So that's how this presentation came about. So this is a little out of order. This is from Jasper Ridge, actually at the end of April. But it was one of the few places where I saw the new leaves coming in. What I've discovered about the buckeyes is that their stage of development, it seems to be heavily dependent on where they're growing. So even though this is the end of April, these are from March and earlier in April. And so starting in the spring, the buckeye grows these stalks that are going to become the inflorescence later in the spring. And you can start to see here the general shape of the buckeye with a broad rounded crown. And that's one of the distinctive features that really helps define the buckeye throughout the year. So here we are in May. One of the interesting things about the buckeye is that it's completely toxic. The flowers are toxic, the leaves are toxic, the seeds are toxic. And so the flowers are only pollinated by native pollinators that co-evolved with a tree. They're extremely toxic to honeybees, for example, because they're not native. And that's a Western swallowtail. So you can see here, some of the flowers are pink and some of the flowers are white. It just depends on the tree. Then we start getting into June. So for a Midwesterner like myself, this is exciting because we got fall color in June in California. And the fall color lasts for about 4 months. And again, very location dependent. A couple of these photos were taken up at Stanford. It was at the Stanford Oval. And there was a buckeye tree in one part of the oval, still completely green. And there was a buckeye tree, maybe 1,500 yards away. That was all fall color. So very location dependent. I'm just going to go through these. And oh, here's a really good example of that compound leaf with the 5 leaflets. Oh, and also on that particular photo, you can see, even on the same tree, there's different stages of the leaves. So it's not uncommon to see a tree where a lot of the leaves are already completely dried out, and yet there's still green leaves on the exact same tree. And then there's the dried out inflorescence over there on the right. That's 3 pictures together. And then if you look on the right there, that bark is very characteristic of the Buckeye, that kind of silvery gray. And that's another distinguishing feature, especially in the winter when that's all you see. And then this is from, let's see. This is from August. And around this time of year, the seeds start to develop. So at this point, there's a lot of the seeds on the stalks, and you still have these long points coming out of them, which will gradually disappear. So, yeah, some more color. Oops. So then this is starting to get into more September, and you can see that the seeds have rounded out a bit. And by September, it's very common to see the inflorescence with just 2 of the seeds at the end of at the tip. And I was reading somewhere that that's because that's where the female flowers are, and so those are the ones that actually end up going to seed. And you can see on the right side, the tree's lost almost all of its leaves, but it has all the seeds all over it still. And then as you get into October and November, the seeds start to open up and start to fall off the trees. This is from November. So again, you can see the broad round crown, you can see the silvery bark, and you can also tell it's a Buckeye because all the other trees around it are still green. So once they fall on the ground, you get, again, different stages of development. So sometimes there's just the husks, sometimes they're partially open, sometimes they've completely opened up. The one on the right, I took the photo just to show how many seeds you might see under a single tree. And here you can really see why they're called Buckeyes. And then here, I thought it was really interesting to see how they open. So it almost looks like peeling a lemon or orange, where it has those little triangular shapes coming off of it. And then we're into December, and the leaves are off, the seeds are on the ground, and the buds are already starting to develop for next year. So that's our year of Buckeye. I was talking about the plants being toxic. The only thing that can eat the seeds are local squirrels.
Yes.
So if you see squirrels running around with the Buckeye seeds, they're okay.
Sue, you're up.
Nice to see you. Oh, we can use these two, the arrows, these 2 arrows. Well, I can't see that. Oh, that one. Actually, also the mouse. So yeah, I'll see how I do. Okay, so these are some highlights, mostly botanical, from the 2024. And just to start off with something completely unrelated, I have a thing about water crossings. Since about 5 years ago, I essentially lost my balance and jumped off a log going across a stream in the middle of a backpack trip. I sprained my ankle and I had to walk out. And so I've been very respectful of water crossings since then. The one on the left, I was with Joan, she took the picture.
crossing, creek in the, Deep Creek area in, San Bernardino County. And a couple of people in the back were going, "You mean we have to go through this?" It wasn't as scary as I thought it was gonna be, and thank you, Joan, for going first. On the right in October, I was in, near Willamette Pass in Oregon, and there had just been some snow, and that 8x8 was a bridge, according to my guy in that. And I got to it, and there's no handrail except for a little piece towards the far side, and said, "No, gonna go back." So that's my water crossing story. It has nothing to do with anything else. Starting in March, I started to have some botanical adventures. And my first trip was to Figueroa Mountain in Santa Barbara County. I was visiting a friend down there. And we went out to the area to look for chocolate lilies, and we did find them. These are true chocolate lilies. Other people call other things chocolate lilies, but these are the Fritillaria by Flora, and they're endemic to California. A few days later, I was in Rockland probably on my way to Truckee, and looking for Fritillaria agrestis, the stink bell. And I did find some. I had not seen for sure this particular one before. And the picture at the right shows sometimes what you have to do if the flower is pointing towards the ground and you want to look in the throat, like the center picture. You just have to get down on the ground. Look up. That's what I did, and I took a selfie. Next was a few days later, coming back from Truckee, I don't remember. I stopped off at Judson Prairie in Solano County looking for the fragrant fritillaria, that really is, yes. And there was a pretty good display of them this last year, so that was nice. I was also glad that I had remembered to put on my rubber boots because there were quite a few areas along the path that I walked along where it was very wet. It was squishy. I had my boots. And next up, I'm in Los Angeles County, in the Antelope Valley. And there's a place, a location there that I visited about 4 or 5 times, and it has a very reliable, small population of desert candles. So this is not the hillside like you can see sometimes at Carrizo Plain. It's this much smaller number of plants, but it's such a strange and wonderful plant. I'd like to go visit it. I was on my way to Saddleback Butte in the Antelope Valley, and I found some just nice Joshua trees on the trail on the way up. And the picture on the right is from the top of the butte. And what struck me about this, besides the beautiful clouds in the sky and so forth, is how flat the valley floor looks. And then these buttes just kind of come out of nowhere in that area. It's quite interesting, geologically. Next, I'm back in the Bay Area. So this is pretty much chronological. So I'm jumping around from place to place where I saw some interesting flowers. This was in Black Diamond Mines, one of the East Bay Regional Park District parks. And I had gotten wind from Facebook or someplace that somebody had seen a Californis hybrid. So I went to look for it. They were very non-specific about where it was. And I did manage to find an observation that led me to the correct place. So this, the top row is the hybrids, and the bottom row is what the hybrids of. On the left in the bottom is Californis albus, the white fairy lantern that probably is familiar to a lot of you. On the right is Pocellus, which is the Mount Diablo fairy lantern, and it's yellow. And the hybrids all look like the top row. They look like the albus, that the fairy lantern, without the hat, with the sepals close in. But they were all different shades of yellow, and there's no variant of the albus that's yellow. There's one that's very dark red, but there's not one of yellow. So that was the observation of the hybrid. And let's see, where did I go next? Oh, yes. After another trip to Southern California, I drove out to Arizona. I was on my way to Flora National Park, because there's a flower that I will show shortly that I was on a mission to see. I was just very happy to see these Burma-shaped signs along over 66. It was a throwback to a family trip. I grew up on the East Coast, a family trip to California in 1960. And the whole family would read off the signs as we went by. So it was very fun to find some more signs. And along Old Route 66, thank you, Dee. She gave me the location to find Caloqueris Kennedyi var Munzia, Munzis mariposa. The regular Kennedyi is an orange red. It's a very intense color. And this is, the plant itself looks very similar and the color is very intense, but it's a very distinctly different color. So I was happy to be able to find this one. And so in Petrified Forest National Park, well, one thing with flowers, with plants, you probably all know this: location, 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 timing, timing, timing. I knew the location because I'd done my research and I was lucky on the timing. I had put all kinds of waypoints in my phone about where to find the flowers. And in the end, all I had to do was open my eyes and look, because they were sort of everywhere. The picture in the top right was right next to one of the park roads, and it's just full of the flowers. And some of them were growing next to petrified logs. And this is a composite that I like to show from my new Caloqueris observations, with a sort of a face view, a close up on the right, and a side view showing the inventory. So that was a very successful trip. On the way back, again, thank you. Oh, sorry, this is still in Petrified Forest. I had found one observation in iNaturalist of the Caloqueris nathalii, and I went to that area and walked around, and lo and behold, there it was. It's clearly different from the golden. It's white and with a blush of yellow at the base of the petal. So that was a lucky find. Then on the way back, thank you to Dee. I had a couple of places to go look for Caloqueris ambiguous. The several common names. One that I like is Arizona mariposa lily. It's very beautiful. The markings at the base of the petals are really, really pretty. And normally it's white. But one of the locations that Dee gave me was for an unusual purple version. I don't know if this is showing up very purple, but it's much more purple than the other ones that I saw. So that was really special. And then, let's see, where did I go next? Back in the Bay Area, a small advertisement for the hopeful field trips to the Fremont vernal pools. Joan set up the ones for last year. I went to the one that was advertised as Sea of Denizens. And in the upper left, that's exactly what was there. The purple color is the picture on the right is a close look at this very, very small section of the bigger one. And they're just right next to each other. And the picture at the bottom is the typical color of this Denizens. But as I looked closely and walked around to different places, I kept finding different colors, all the same species. And this is a selection. This is not all the other colors that I saw.
Nice.
It was amazing, the different color varieties of this Denizens. So if you get a chance to go again this year, go to the Denizens. There are others you see over there, but I like Denizens. We need more water. Probably, yes, for this year. Now I'm up in Oregon in early June.
I went up twice, actually. For Ken, I think I was looking for all three of those rare Californias in southwestern Oregon, and I was successful at finding all three of them. This one, I was escorted by a member of the local, so it's not CNPS chapter, but the equivalent, the Oregon Plant Society. And he took me to a place where you can see the Umpqua Mariposa Lily, and it's right alongside a paved road. So you can drive there, you don't need permission to. Some of the others, ones you have to have permission to go in. And then a couple weeks later, I was back. No, sorry, this is the next day, sorry. I went down to the Illinois River Valley, which is one of the places that Ken mentioned. And I was specifically looking for the Howellii, the Howell's Mariposa Lily. And again, for Ken's benefit, if you're still there, I found a couple at the $8 boardwalk. I wasn't expecting to find them there. I was hoping that I might. I went to a place that Charley Russell had recommended, and I didn't find any there, but I did find them at the boardwalk and along the road, getting from the boardwalk back. Yeah, their location. And now, oh yes, okay, I forgot that I have a stopover on the PCT in the Mount Ashland area. And this was early June, and there was still the remnants of some snow. And in fact, I couldn't complete the hike that I was planning to because there was snow across the trail and I lost the trail. But I did find a few plants of glacier lilies, the Erythronium grandiflora. And that was also a special observation. Oh, okay, I forgot about this little side thing. In mid-June, so in between my two Oregon trips, actually, I went up to Sonoma County, and on the way I stopped off at Ring Mountain to see the Tiburon Mariposa lily. I have seen them before, but sometimes the timing isn't right. And I was lucky this year and got to see them. This is a very, very bizarre Mariposa lily, but very beautiful. The purpose of that trip was to go to the Cedars with Roger Grace as the host in order to observe and photograph the Cedars fairy lantern, California's raceyi. And it was a very successful trip. We saw a lot of other interesting plants there as well, but this was, for me, was the star. And now I'm back up in Oregon for what do you call it? An escorted trip into a BLM area. So you have to go in with a BLM person, and the chapter up there had organized such a trip. And this was to see the Cox's Mariposa lily. Its entire range is about 5 by 20 miles, so it's not quite as restricted as the Ring Mountain one, but a very restricted area. And the locals were actually rather excited because the population was a good one. This past year, it isn't always. And all right. In July, I visit my brother in Wisconsin every year, and my favorite flower to see there is the spiderwort. And this retaining wall is at the corner of his yard. He lives in a corner. The clusters, like one of these clusters is shown here. Each cluster pops one blossom per day. You go out early in the morning, you can see it. By 11 o'clock, it's completely wilted and liquefied. So you have to go out in the morning if you want to see these flowers. That is one of my favorite ones to see around in Wisconsin. Okay, let's see, where did I go next? Oh, all right, so I'm actually almost done. In September, I made another trip north. I actually, I stopped off in Oregon and then I went up into Washington. The other way around. Anyway, this time of the year, when there's not the bright shiny flowers so much, I paid a lot more attention to mosses, ferns, and mushrooms. And so I have a few slides of mushrooms that were, I thought, interesting for, just different from the usual mushrooms that pop up in your yard. This is a shelf mushroom, and the picture on the left shows my hand for scale. This thing was huge, just growing out the side of the trunk of a tree. And that's the top, and then the picture on the right is the bottom. So this one is considered to be not edible. Mushrooms run the range from edible and wonderful to you don't really want to eat it because it's tough, to it'll make you sick, to it'll kill you if you eat a lot of it. So it's just something to keep in mind when you're looking at mushrooms. The last few slides are I think all from the same day when I was hiking on the PCT near Snoqualmie Pass in Washington. It's just basically directly east out the interstate from Seattle. The day that I was there, about half the people I saw on the trail were carrying plastic bags and they were collecting mushrooms. So it was the season for mushrooms. On the left is another shelf mushroom, but it's growing on a log that's on the ground. I just thought that was amazing to see a mushroom like that. Essentially, I mean, it was growing on the tree, but it was on the ground. On the right is a Seek couldn't get any farther than family on it, and I have a mushroom book, and it wasn't any help with identifying. There's just too many different species of mushroom. But it was also kind of growing out of a rotting log. Next, we have a king bolete. This one is edible, and the mushroom book says edible and wonderful. I wouldn't know. I haven't had any. Then the one on the right is called plums and custard, which I thought was an interesting name, but it's purple and creamy, so okay. And that one is considered edible but tough. And then we have the Amanita. I think this is a jeweled Amanita. Some of the Amanita is where the death cap lives. So there's a lot of very toxic mushrooms in that group. And the last picture on the right is, I just thought was so bizarre and wonderful. Mushroom is a scaly chanterelle. And that one, as far as edibility is considered, not recommended. And I'm not sure what that means. I think that one was actually love it or hate it. Some people like them a lot and some people don't. Anyway, I believe that's it. Yes, thank you very much. You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, where's the keys?
Right here. Do you see that?
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. Okay, so this is a summary of my year, and I showed these slideshows during our regular presentation. So here's some excerpts of some of the things, and I don't go very far. Everything's in Santa Clara County. Okay, so you probably recognize some of these people here. Like those two people on the end, you probably know. And here was the group. This was at Santa Teresa County Park, San Jose. And it's one of the best wildflower hikes. This was in March, so it's a little early. I think it was just before the peak of the wildflower season. And so there's D, and she's pointing to this. So this is the Stowe Ranch Trail is just covered with serpentine, it's like solid serpentine everywhere. And there's a lot of serpentine plants, and she's talking about the bee plant at the bottom. And there's also Mount Hamilton thistle, which is a rare plant, and it grows in serpentine seeps. And there's just several areas in the trail where there's seeps and the serpentine and these Mount Hamilton thistles grow along it. And you can see what the trail looks like. That's all serpentine down there. There's our group. And so Dee's talking about how the animals eat chew on the black sage. Okay, and here's a view from the top of the switchbacks. And here in the background there, so we're higher up, you can see a rock wall that's kind of a mystery how it got there. Behind it, the next ridge is where the Almond Creek Silver County Park is, and behind that is Sierra Azules. And here's some gypsum claytonia, spring beauty, and shooting stars. And here at the top of at the high point of the trail, there's leather oaks and like serpentine. And look at this big patch of serpentine there. And there's the trail going up to the next high point. What's in the background is Big Oak Valley and Coyote Peak, the high point of the park. And there's a nice little lookout there. It overlooks the Fortini Trail, which was our way back. The hill in the background there is, in the middle is Playa Rancho San Vicente, which is part of Clara County Park. And here there's a little side trail called the Mine Trail. And right at the start there's some scrub oaks. Shrub oaks, I say. And we're kind of trying, is this a scrub oak or is this a leather oak or is it a hybrid? So we're kind of talking about what kind of shrub oak those are. All right, and then down lower, we're looking at the bird's foot. And down here, farther along the trail, on the Fortini Trail, we're going past California sagebrush. Okay, so here's the wildflower show at West Valley College. And there's the check-in booth. And it's information about the organization. And there's several tours. So this was a tour of the Moon Garden. So West Valley College has several science gardens. And this is the Moon Garden here has plants that are designed to attract nighttime pollinators. And there's a Wildflower Ambassador's booth. There's a lot of information about plants there. And there's plant sale. And inside, I'm not going to show all, but there's a sample of some of the, like 3 rooms, something like that.
Yeah.
Full of flowers and all labeled. Amazing variety. So there's some more. And this is another tour. This was a tour. So Heidi there, she's one of the instructors for the park management program at West Valley. And she was giving a tour of the restoration areas around along the Sona Creek. And there she is talking about the oak grove there. And later there was BioBlitz, and that's Maral Wanchak. She leads BioBlitzes. And here she's talking about how to use iNaturalist and how to use a phone to take close-ups and send the data to iNaturalist. And well, there's Bill. Looking at the moon garden. So not only are we looking at the flowers, we're looking at any insects and other pollinators that might be on it. And we found this valley oak tree, and there's all kinds of galls in there. Spent a lot of time looking for insects and galls in the tree. Okay, and Maram has this really intricate, fancy setup for taking close-ups. Okay, so here we are back inside. There's Vivian. And this is the gift shop. A lot of nice stuff for sale. Okay, so here we had a hike at Clara County Park and 5-5. And there's our leaders, Tom and Arvin. And there's our group, Intrepid Hikers. And up we go. Now, Clara County Park, the lower parts of it, it's just clay soil. So you get a lot of invasives there. So You know, we're talking about all the invasive plants like the poison hemlock. But there's some natives, ethereal spears. And there's a nice wetland there. It's the Los Cerritos Pond. Saw redwood blackbirds. And are hiking up along the Oak Cove Trail. And Armin's talking about the wavy leaf silkroots. And so Tom's pointing out some of the weeds like the thistles and the horsebeard. We did see some checker blooms. And up the Peanut Trail, which is really steep, you get a nice view at the top. And then you enter just before the Figueroa Trail, you enter into Blue Oak Forest. And here we are at the high point of the hike. And this is getting to Los Cerritos Trail, which goes downhill. And there's Q-tips. And Bill found some poppies. So we're starting to get into more serpentine areas. There's a little patch of serpentine a little farther down. And this is in the serpentine area. There's cream cups. And there's white buck carclea. And there we are looking at it. It was the only one we saw, I think, strangely. And there's several elegant bordea. And then bird's eye gilia. It's all serpentine. This is in serpentine. And a white Buddha. And that's where the Los Cerritos Trail hits the Oak Cove Trail. And Tom's talking about the wavy leaf silkroots. Okay, so this was my hike. So I helped to lead this hike. This was in Santa Teresa Park. This was in May. So remember, the previous hike was in March. So here we're in May. Kind of missed the peak in April, but well. Anyway, so this is our Mothers and Flowers hike. It's half history hike, half flower hike. So the first half of the hike, we talked about the history of the famous mothers who lived in Santa Teresa, in the ranch of Santa Teresa. And the second half of the hike, I talked about the wildflowers. Okay, so here's some of the wildflowers. So Mariposa lilies and blue dicks, checker blooms. And so this is on the mine trail. There's kind of a seep there, so there's seep monkey flowers. And this is the mine trail, and down below is the Fortini Trail. And this is on the Star Ranch Trail, where we see some larkspurs and chick lupins. And those are cream sacks. And lots of golden yarrow blooming this time. And this is a rare plant, so this is the most beautiful jewel flower. You see those all over Star Ranch Trail. And this is going down the Star Ranch Trail. In April, the poppies were going crazy, but they're still blooming in May. A little lower, there's a serpentine seep, and see the seep monkey flowers there. There's also the Mount Hamilton thistles growing higher up. And later in the year, you see serpentine sunflowers growing there, blooming there. So here's Paul. This is Paul's hike. So Paul gave a hike like once a month in Rancho Cañada del Oro. And I missed the May hike because I was giving my hike. But what happened in April? But this was his June hike. He called it In Search of Soaproot. And that's what we're looking for. And that's what really happens in June is soaproots start blooming. So going up this Rancho Cañada del Oro, the Mayfair Ranch Trail, starts out in Chaparral area. So we see chamise. And there's California everlasting. And the big berry manzanitas. And then kind of at a little peak of the trail there, high point or a middle point. We see our first soaproot. So Paul talks about the soaproot, but it's too early in the day for it to bloom. So he promised us that we're going to see it blooming later in the day. And there's some clarkia and some coyote mints. And there's some red berries and sticky monkey flowers and elegant clarkia. And here's a view, so that's looking towards what's, part of Rancho Cañada del Oro that's not open to the public yet, it's called Blair Ranch. They're doing planning now for the trails, and there'll probably be some guided hikes in there this year. So if you see anything about the Blair Ranch, check it out, it's a neat area. And it'll eventually be open to the public. Okay, this is looking the other direction towards the Bald Peaks and Clara County Park. So Clara's on the right, Cañada del Oro's on the left. And the Bald Peaks of Cañada del Oro, you can tell that they're bald. Okay, and we're seeing a gooseberry and a golden Mariposa lily, yellow Mariposa lily. And what's it called, Chaparral clematis. And there's this, so this is getting down closer to the creek, Baldy Ryan Creek, which is nice and shady. And there's a trillium there, and then the earlier hikes, you can see them blooming with the purple flower. And this is the serpentine area on the Longwell Canyon Trail. Gets really nice wildflowers in about April or so. But there's still some there. Wiry snapdragons and chia. And finally, the soaproot blooming. So there's the soaproot. So hikers got their money's worth. And then towards the end of the hike, we see some wavy leaves, or narrow leaf milkweed in Clara County Park. Okay, so you may remember this from November. So this was when we had our dinner over there, like that way. And so if you haven't been there, there's a nature preserve right next to Shute Park, where we had our meeting. And it's a redwood grove. And it's there's an information booth there. So Grassroots Ecology is the organization that takes care of it. They have all this information about it and how you can help out and things. And there's some really nice boardwalks that run through the redwood forest. And there's the creek, I think that's Adobe Creek, that runs through there. It's dry at the time. I don't know what it's like now. And there's a little path that leads out to Shute Park, where we had our meeting. And there's our meeting, our dinner, our potluck dinner. Hope you come to that. And we had lots of books for sale. And we had these, this was the door prizes. And lots of food. Yummy. And this was our meeting. And we had a lot of people there. Maybe you're in there. Food was great. And there was a remembrance for Brenda Butner. And this was the start of the meeting. And Dee gave a presentation about California. Okay. So this is a solo hike, and I think this would make a good field trip location. So Bear Creek Redwoods has been there, is like, forget how big it is. It's almost 2,000 acres. It's a big, big park reserve just south of Los Gatos. If you've never been there, they've been opening it up piece by piece. So a few years ago, they opened up the upper part, which goes into the redwood forest. So in the end of October, they opened up the lower part. And the upper part's kind of steep. It goes way, way up in the redwoods. And the lower part's kind of flat-ish. It kind of goes up and down a little bit here. So I went to check that out at 11:15. And tip, if you're gonna go here, don't go on a weekend. You won't find a place to park. And there's a really pretty pond there. This one used to be a Jesuit school, the college. It's called Alma College there. So and it used to, before that it was a mansion. So there's a lot of leftovers and exotic plants from previous owners. Okay, but heading down one of the trails, the Middle Pete Siemens Trail, in November, there was a lot of the big leaf maple turning yellow. So nice fall colors there for the maples. Plus you're going through redwood forests. These are second growth redwoods, but some of them are like over 100 years old. So they're pretty big. And it's a very shady area, a lot of ferns growing. And there's creeks, little creeks going through there. And there's a couple bridges over the creeks. And you look down, you can see these fish weirs. So they used to dam up the creeks and they have trout fishing in these creeks. And here's some more of the maples. And this is the lower part. This is I forget which trail it is, but it's one of the lower parts of the park. And then you can see the Sierra Azules there. And this is the lower piece in this trail, see more of the Sierra Azules. And then up here, you can start seeing the remnants of Alma College. And there's a section called the Alma Landscape where they have restored and preserved buildings from Alma College. Okay. So I came back, I didn't see all of it because it's a really complicated trail system. So I came back on 12/2 to see the rest of it. So this is the Salamander Springs Trail, and you can see the black oak changing color. Okay, and there's redwood trees. You can see stumps of the old growth redwoods, and you see the old walls of the campus. And this is an old aqueduct that was built before the campus. So it was built by the original owner as part of his estate. And then there's some remnant trees that the owners planted, like this, a deodar cedar, and some old brick walls. And you're right, it goes right at Highway 17. So you look down and you can see Highway 17. And there's another of the fish weirs. And there's the Coulter pine up there. There's giant pine cones. And here it goes up to a viewpoint. It's called the Oak Knoll Trail. And there's a knoll with oaks in it. And this is a view looking down. You can see part of Lexington Reservoir and the Sierra Azules behind it. And here's the what's it? The Miotis Trail joining the I forget the Toad Trail. And there's fallen redwood tree, and there's a Douglas fir. So anyway, future field trip. That's it.
These are pictures I just chronologically from January through December, I took throughout the year of plants and critters and bugs and.
And so.
Yeah, this one right here. Okay, this is just blooming on Mayfair Ranch Trail, blooming manzanita. Got a lot of these plants together. This is a come on, I know this. What? Yeah, right. So castle. This is in the native plant garden in Lake Cunningham. And this is just a gnarly old oak tree I like. They're interesting trees. And just some, oops, how do we get rid of
Let's just hit escape, or here, let me do it.
And just fungi, I don't know what kind they are. Okay, I had something wrong. Fungi, okay, just more fungi. And I love manzanita, I mean, the manzanita, when it gets wet, it's sort of shiny, I just enjoy manzanita. More fungi. And just a little waterfall, this is on the Mayfair Ranch Trail. And there's a goose. And just more fungi. And this is giant chain friend, I think. And then there's a big blue eyes. And this is my favorite butterfly, it's their orange tip. And this is the blue, I don't know which one it is, X-Men.
Excellent.
I'm not sure which one it is. And blue witch comes in whites too. And it doesn't want to scroll anymore.
Oh.
I'm giving the button here and it doesn't want to scroll. Oh, okay, there we go. And here's a lark sparrow. And here's his friend has a bushy, whoops, I missed one. Well, okay, whatever. I missed a good one. Maybe I can go back. Hold on. Yeah, there, that's the one I want. That's him with the haircut. It's interesting lark sparrow, and there's a blue-eyed grass. And I forgot the name of this one. It was a vivid dancer.
Yeah, it is a Sabina.
And some onion, elegant, was it elegant?
Allium, it's an allium. Uniform.
And here's a checker lily. And some more blue witch. And this is cowbag clover. And Oregon grape. And this was taken in Oregon. This is their fiddleneck, a little different than our fiddleneck. That's taken in Oregon, when we took side from Oregon. And blue flax. And you'll see monkey flower. And this is the flowering of the meadowroot, my backyard. That's kind of interesting. And then here's a mule's ear with a little checker spot on it. And this is a bee assassin, California bee assassin. And here's coral root, is that kind of coral root? Striped coral root. And here's a California sister. And here's a female webbing blackbird. And this is low lives. And there's a male webbing blackbird. And this is hedge nettle or station blata. I like this flower. It looks like little ghosts to me. Flower is pretty, and here's a lily. And here's some more vivid dancers, Flying United. And here's a most beautiful jewel flower. And here's a one leaf onion, I believe. That's from my backyard. And here's some milkweed. And bee, attacking a bee plant, about attacking. And that's a little beautiful, I don't know what it is, it's like sort of green spider. And there's a pollen line from the bottom. And there's a Fernald, it's an iris, Fernald iris. And there's some sedum. And here's the soap lily in my backyard. And here's just the creek. Was that the Baldy Ryan Creek? What's the name of that creek that runs along there? Is it Baldy Ryan?
Right.
Whoops. Well, and these are tortoise shells. They were must be migrating through. They're all over the place in Rancho Canada del Oro. And here's a rattlesnake. And here is Hamilton thistle. And a pelican. And a high-billed grebe. And a spotted toad. And this is St. Catherine's lace, which is a buckwheat. That's in the native plant garden in Lake Cunningham. And this is a velvet beetle. It's actually a wasp. It's called a velvet beetle. And here's some vinegar weed. And this is a monster. I thought it looks like a monster, but it's just that's along the Mayfair Ranch Trail. That's just some Manzanita. And here's being flashed by a buzzard. And this is a coot. Would you look at their feet? They have really pretty feet. They have really pretty feet. And there is a Caspian tern. And there is a double-crested cormorant. And a snowy egret. And a California quail. And a bunny rabbit, a desert, what are they called? Desert rabbit, brush rabbit, desert brush rabbits, as they call it. And here's some sandpipers. This is in the wetlands area over at Lake Cunningham. If when it floods and it's a wetlands area. This is my backyard. Those are my sunflowers and some fuchsia picking through. And here is a valley oak acorns. And here's another vinegar plant. And there is a song sparrow. There is it's a beetle. I can't think of the name. This is in the native plant garden. And there's a good old tarantula. There is a Miriam's chipmunk. That's the chipmunks in our area. That's the datura. From the native plant garden. There's a little close up with a bug on it. And there is a bush tit. There is a oak titmouse. I think this was naked buckwheat. And here is another oak acorn. And this is just some moss, brown moss growing along the ground there, some kind of thick carpet, that was interesting. I like the tail on the squirrel, like a target there. And there is a black crowned night heron. And there's somebody fishing at Lake Almaden. And this is my backyard. I'm getting bluebirds in my backyard. I'm in Blossom Valley. And I'm seeing a lot more bluebirds in they come in regularly. And this is on my neighbor's plant. That's just I'm on our, and this is just a lot of fungus on a log. And there's a gopher. Picking his head up. And there is a Buick's Ram. And there's a woodpecker on his granary tree. And there is a green heron. They're really a beautiful bird. And there is a grackle, great-tailed grackle. And there's another interesting oak. That was interesting. And look at the size of that sycamore leaf. I have a size 11 boot, so big leaf. And there's a scrub dragon. And I just like madrone. Is that Mancini? That's madrone. That's with this beautiful wood. And here's a kind of a corkscrew oak. Probably a valley oak, I think. And then there's Buckeye, beautiful Buckeye without the leaves on it. There's a heron peeking through the grass, the reeds. And there is a house finch and a white-crowned sparrow and a coyote. See a lot of coyotes. And there's a cold morning. I went out one morning. It's just very frosty, a frosty leaf. And there's a face. There I see faces with a prominent nose. And a deer. And that's the Mayfair Ranch Trail. I was love hiking up that trail. Oaks there, and there's turkey. And this is foggy morning on the Stiles Ranch Trail. And there's a very proud, I guess it's a sparrow. It was a gold crown. And there's a woodpecker and a bluebird. And this is these are blooming like mad now in my, the seaside daisies in my front yard. I don't know why in December, they're just blooming like mad. And there's just highlighted by the sun there. And there is pigeon, a bandtail pigeon. And there is an Allen's hummingbird. And there is a junco. And it's a warbler, yellow warbler. And a house wren. And this is just some dried buckwheat. I think this is all burnt. This is just up above my brother's house in Mandeville Canyon. And this area was burnt. The fire came right up to my brother's street. They saved it though. And that's all burnt out. And here's a squirrel. And here is a white-crowned sparrow. Here's some California polyplotty. And here's I think it's my last one. That is a oak titmouse. That's it. We're done.
Wow.
This evening.
That was impressive, Bill.
Oh.
So I think that's it.
Okay.
Lee and Ken, are you still there?
No, we put them to sleep.
You still here?
Oh, you are still here. Oh, Madeline's there too. Hi, Madeline.
Where's the people?
Oh, Madeline. Oh, okay, we got people there.
Yeah, I sent it out just to the officers and chairs list in case anybody else wanted to join. So I think actually.
Hello, Madeline.
Hi, thank you. I got done with another meeting, so I came into this one.
There's Dee. Hi, Dee.
Hi.
Was zoned.
Well.
Yeah, I think we're done. I'm just taking pictures of you guys.
Don't forget to stop the recording.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna end the Zoom, unless you guys want to stay and chat, I can just end the recording, if that's the case. I'm gonna do that.
Good to see you all. If the pictures are done, I'll say bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Everybody did an amazing job. You guys